The average car in America is now 12.8 years old. That number keeps climbing every single year, and most of those vehicles will never see 200,000 miles before they end up at the junkyard. Meanwhile, in Japan, it is completely normal to see ordinary sedans and pickup trucks rolling past 300,000 miles. Some hit 500,000. A few legendary examples have crossed 1 million. And here is the thing that blows my mind. These are not exotic cars built with space-age materials. They are regular Toyotas, Hondas, and Nissans, the same models you can buy at any dealership in America. So what is different? It is not the cars. It is the people driving them. Specifically, it is a set of habits that Japanese seniors have been practicing for decades. Habits so simple that most American drivers completely ignore them. Today, I am breaking down every single one of these methods, and I promise you, if you start applying even half of these, your car will outlast anything on your block. Let's get into it. Method 1. The 60-second warm-up rule. This is the very first thing Japanese high-mileage drivers do differently, and it happens before the car even moves. They let the engine idle for 30 to 60 seconds before driving. That's it. Not 10 minutes. Not sitting in the driveway scrolling your phone while the engine burns fuel. Just 30 to 60 seconds. Here's why this matters so much. When your engine is cold, the oil sitting in the oil pan is thick and sluggish. It has not circulated to the upper engine components yet, the camshafts, the valve train, the cylinder walls. If you fire up your car and immediately floor it out of the driveway, those critical components are grinding metal on metal with minimal lubrication. That is like asking someone to sprint before they have even stretched. One Japanese owner of a 1971 Toyota Corolla with over 610,000 miles attributed his car's longevity to 3 rules. And the first one was this: warm up your car for 1 minute in the summer, 2 minutes in the winter. That Corolla was bought brand new for $2,135, and it was still cruising at highway speeds decades later. The cost of this habit? $0.60 of your time. The cost of ignoring it? Premature wear on every internal engine component, every single time you start the car. Method 2. Smooth, deliberate driving. This one separates the 200,000-mile cars from the 500,000-mile cars. Japanese seniors who rack up extreme mileage do not drive aggressively. They do not slam the gas at every red light. They do not wait until the last possible second to brake. They do not push the engine to redline for fun. Instead, they apply smooth, deliberate inputs when accelerating. They brake early enough that it does not even feel like braking. They keep the engine in its comfortable RPM range rather than constantly lugging it or revving it out. This is not grandma driving in the left lane. It is intentional driving, and there is a massive difference. A man named Mike Neal drove his 2008 Toyota Tacoma to 1.6 million miles, delivering medical supplies. That is not a typo. 1.6 million miles. He was averaging about 425 miles of highway driving every single day for 16 years. And one of the biggest factors in that truck's longevity? Almost all of those miles were smooth highway driving. No aggressive stop-and-go traffic beating up the transmission. No constant hard braking, wearing out rotors and pads. Just steady, deliberate driving that let every mechanical system operate in its sweet spot. His original transmission lasted 1.3 million miles. The original spark plugs lasted 704,000 miles. You want to know what kills cars in America? It is not mileage, it is abuse. Method 3. Oil changes based on how you actually drive. Here is where the Japanese approach gets really smart. Most American drivers follow one of 2 strategies for oil changes. Either they go by the manufacturer's recommended interval, which might say every 7,500 or 10,000 miles, or they ignore oil changes entirely until the dashboard light screams at them. Japanese high-mileage drivers do neither. They adjust the oil change interval based on how the car is actually being used. If you are doing mostly short urban trips, stop-and-go traffic, and lots of cold starts, Your oil degrades significantly faster than the manufacturer's schedule assumes. Those short trips do not let the engine get hot enough to burn off moisture and fuel contamination in the oil. So the oil breaks down faster, it gets sludgy faster, and it stops protecting your engine faster. Pretending otherwise is wishful thinking. Consider the examples. That million-mile Toyota Tundra, owned by Victor Shepard, was serviced 117 times in 9 years. That is roughly an oil change every 8,500 miles, which is aggressive for a highway truck, but he was not taking chances. The 1.6 million-mile Tacoma went through 192 oil changes over its lifetime. These owners are not waiting for a warning light. They are being proactive because they understand that oil is the cheapest insurance policy your engine will ever have. Method 4. Flushing every fluid, not just the oil. This is where most American car owners completely drop the ball. They will change the oil, sure, but transmission fluid, coolant, brake fluid, power steering fluid, those get ignored until something catastrophic happens. Japanese maintenance culture treats every fluid in the vehicle as critical because they are. Here is a fact that should terrify every car owner. An estimated 50% of premature engine failures are linked to problems in the cooling system. Half. And it is almost always because the coolant was neglected. Corrosion builds up inside the cooling system over time. Scale deposits form. The coolant's protective additives get depleted. And eventually, the system cannot keep the engine at the right temperature. One overheating event can warp a cylinder head, blow a head gasket, or crack an engine block. Game over. Thousands of dollars in damage from a fluid that costs $15 to flush. Transmission fluid is the same story. When it goes bad, it turns dark and smells burnt. At that point, it is not lubricating properly anymore. It is accelerating wear on every gear, clutch pack, and bearing inside your transmission. Japanese drivers replace transmission fluid before problems appear, not after. Every 30,000 miles or every 2 years, they flush the coolant on schedule because they know internal corrosion is a silent engine killer. They swap brake fluid because old brake fluid absorbs moisture and reduces stopping power. This comprehensive approach to fluid maintenance is one of the biggest reasons Japanese cars survive well past 300,000 miles. Hey, if you are finding value in this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Method 5. The maintenance log. This might be the single most important habit on this entire list, and it is the one that almost nobody in America does. Japanese high-mileage drivers write everything down. Every oil change, every fluid flush, every filter replacement, every noise that appeared and disappeared, every repair, every inspection. Every single thing goes into a notebook or a logbook kept in the car. Over the years, this becomes an incredibly powerful document. It lets you spot patterns. It tells you when a component is due for replacement based on your actual driving history. It catches small issues before they become expensive disasters. But more than the practical value, keeping a maintenance log represents a fundamentally different way of thinking about your car. It is the difference between treating your vehicle as something ongoing, something worth paying close attention to, and treating it as something you ignore until a warning light forces the issue. That mindset is really what the Japanese philosophy of longevity is all about. The habits are almost secondary to the attitude behind them. Japan has an entire cultural philosophy built around this idea. It is called mottainai. The word roughly translates to the phrase, "what a waste," and it represents a deep sense of regret about wasting something that still has value. It is rooted in Buddhist and Shinto traditions where objects are believed to have an inherent dignity. Throwing something away before its useful life is over, whether it is food, clothing, or your car, is considered disrespectful. That cultural foundation is why Japanese seniors treat car maintenance not as a chore, but as a responsibility. Method 6. Cleaning the mass airflow sensor. Here's a small maintenance step that most people have never even heard of, but Japanese mechanics consider it essential. The mass airflow sensor, called the MAF sensor, tells your engine computer exactly how much air is entering the engine so it can optimize the fuel mixture. When it gets dirty, and it will get dirty over time from dust and oil vapors, you get subtle but damaging symptoms: poor fuel economy, rough idle, sluggish throttle response, and an engine running slightly rich or slightly lean. None of these will trigger a check engine light at first, but they all contribute to accelerated wear on your engine internals. Japanese high-mileage drivers clean the MAF sensor every 15,000 miles using a specialized MAF cleaner spray. It takes about 5 minutes and costs about $10 for the can of cleaner. Yet most American car owners have never done this, even once, in the entire life of their vehicle. Over 200,000 or 300,000 miles, the cumulative effect of a clean-running engine versus a slightly degraded one is enormous. Method 7. Fuel system cleaner every 10,000 kilometers. Japanese drivers add fuel system cleaner roughly every 10,000 kilometers, which is about 6,200 miles. This keeps the fuel injectors clean and combustion where it should be. It is a small thing. A bottle of quality fuel system cleaner costs $8 to $12. You pour it in the gas tank before you fill up. Done. But the effect over hundreds of thousands of miles is significant. Clean injectors mean proper fuel atomization, complete combustion, fewer carbon deposits on the valves, and less stress on the catalytic converter. Skip it for 100,000 miles and you are looking at gunked-up injectors, misfires, reduced power, and higher emissions. It is one of those maintenance items that is so easy to do and so easy to skip. Most people skip it. The people hitting 500,000 miles do not. Method 8. Replacing belts and hoses before they fail. Rubber deteriorates. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Serpentine belts, timing belts, radiator hoses, heater hoses, all of these components are under constant heat stress, and they have a finite lifespan. Japanese maintenance culture calls for inspecting these at every oil change and replacing them on schedule, typically every 60,000 miles or 5 years, whichever comes first. Why does this matter so much? Because when a timing belt snaps on an interference engine, the pistons collide with the valves. That is not a $200 belt replacement anymore. That is a $2,000 to $4,000 engine rebuild, or worse, a complete engine replacement. When a radiator hose bursts on the highway, you lose all your coolant in seconds. The engine overheats before you can even pull over. One moment of catastrophic failure caused by a $30 rubber hose that should have been replaced 6 months ago. Japanese seniors replace these components proactively because they have seen what happens when you do not. Method 9. Addressing strange noises immediately. In America, we have a culture of turning up the radio when we hear a weird noise from the car. That is not a joke. People genuinely ignore clicks, squeals, knocks, and rattles for months, sometimes years. In Japan, any unusual noise is treated as an early warning system, because that is exactly what it is. One Japanese car exporter documented how addressing an $80 timing chain tensioner early prevented what would have been a $2,000 engine rebuild. That is not unusual. Almost every major mechanical failure starts as a minor symptom. A small tick becomes a rod knock. A faint squeal becomes a seized bearing. A subtle vibration becomes a failed CV joint that takes out the axle. The philosophy is simple. Diagnose early, fix cheap. Ignore it, fix expensive. Or do not fix it at all and scrap the car. Here is something most Americans do not know about. Japan has one of the most rigorous mandatory vehicle inspection systems in the world. It is called Kaizen, and every vehicle over 250 cubic centimeters must pass it. New cars get their first inspection after 3 years, and then it is required every 2 years after that. This is not like a quick emissions check at your state DMV. The Kaizen is a 60-point inspection that covers everything: brakes, steering, suspension, emissions, undercarriage, exhaust, lights, wipers, every belt, every hose, every fluid level. If your car fails any element, it cannot legally be driven on public roads until it is repaired and retested. The inspection is so thorough and so expensive, typically costing between $800 and $1,600 depending on the vehicle's age and condition, that many Japanese owners actually sell their cars before the inspection comes due, rather than pay for repairs to pass it. This is one of the main reasons why Japan exports so many high-quality used vehicles. Cars that have been through multiple Kaizen inspections come with documented maintenance histories and proven compliance with strict safety standards. For owners who keep their cars and continue passing Kaizen, the result is a vehicle that has been forced to stay in excellent mechanical condition for its entire life. Nothing slips through the cracks because the government will not let it. Compare that to America, where plenty of states do not even require a basic safety inspection. You can drive a car with bald tires, leaking brakes, a cracked windshield, and a check engine light that has been on for 3 years, and nobody will stop you until something fails catastrophically. The Kaizen system is not the only reason Japanese cars last so long, but it is a massive contributing factor because it creates a culture where regular, thorough maintenance is not optional. It is the law. Method 11. One trusted mechanic. The final piece of the puzzle. Japanese high-mileage drivers do not shop around for the cheapest oil change coupon. They develop a long-term relationship with one trusted mechanic or shop. That mechanic knows the car's entire history. They know what was replaced last year, what is due next, and what that faint noise on cold starts probably means, based on the vehicle's specific pattern of wear. A mechanic who knows your car catches subtle issues that someone seeing it for the first time would miss. They will not try to upsell you on unnecessary work because they are building a relationship, not chasing a one-time transaction. Switching shops every time you see a Groupon deal might save you $20 on an oil change, but it costs you the institutional knowledge that comes from consistent care. So, let us bring this all together. The Japanese method for making cars last 500,000 miles is not some secret technology or magic additive. It is a philosophy. It is mottai nai, the deeply held belief that wasting something with remaining value is regrettable. It is 60 seconds of patience before driving. It is smooth, deliberate inputs behind the wheel. It is oil changes based on reality, not wishful thinking. It is treating every fluid in the car as critical. It is writing everything down. It is fixing noises when they are cheap to fix. It is replacing rubber components before they leave you stranded. It is having a mechanic who actually knows your car. None of this is complicated. None of it is expensive. The most expensive thing on this list is probably the coolant flush, and that is $100 to $150 every 2 years. Compare that to the average cost of a new car in America right now, which is over $48,000. The math speaks for itself. Take care of what you have, and it will take care of you. That is the Japanese way, and the results speak for themselves. That is all for today. If you found value in this, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And if you have not already, subscribe and hit that bell icon so you do not miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.